The bells on my ankles chimed with each sacred step as I danced before the gods, just as my mother and grandmother had done before me. The morning sun streaming through the temple windows caught the gold of my jewelry, casting divine light across the ancient stone floors. But even as my hands formed the perfect mudras of worship, an emptiness echoed beneath the rhythm of my dance, an emptiness that seemed to grow deeper with each passing day. I was born Sita, a name chosen with care by my grandmother to honor the goddess of devotion. Now at 33, I had achieved everything expected of a woman of my status in Bangalore. Yet somehow it felt like nothing at all. My Bharatanatyam performances drew the elite of Karnataka society to our temple. Wealthy tech executives paid generously for their daughters to learn classical dance from me. My Ayurvedic medical practice thrived among the upper castes who trusted ancient wisdom over modern medicine. A young unmarried widow, a source of endless gossip and growing concern among the temple elders. At 33, I was practically a spinster by traditional standards, despite my success and beauty. The arranged meetings with suitable Brahmin men had all ended the same way. They wanted a wife who would defer to their religious authority, not a woman who ran two successful businesses and had opinions about theology. My two daughters, Durga and Saraswati, were my pride and my burden. Born from a marriage that ended when my husband died in a car accident 6 years ago, they were following the traditional path with grace, but I worried constantly about their futures. Durga, now 21, balanced her computer engineering studies at university with classical dance training. Saraswati, at 17, showed even more promise in the ancient art forms, but had begun asking uncomfortable questions about our traditions. Why can't the woman who cleans our temple steps enter to pray? Amma? She had asked just last week, watching me apply tilaka before morning puja. She seems more devoted than some of the people who sit in the front rows. I had given her the traditional answer about karma and reincarnation, about souls earning their station through countless lifetimes. But the words tasted like ash in my mouth, especially when I saw the skepticism in her young eyes. Every morning began with the same elaborate ritual: the careful arrangement of flowers, the lighting of lamps, the Sanskrit mantras passed down through generations. My silk saris and gold jewelry marked me as successful, respected, blessed by the gods. The scent of sandalwood and jasmine marked my presence in the temple corridors where I had danced since childhood. But questions I dared not speak aloud haunted my precise movements. How could the gods decree that some souls were born worthy of worship while others were born untouchable? During my morning teachings, I watched the daughters of tech executives perfect their dance poses while their drivers' children peered through windows, hungry to learn but forbidden by birth. The weight of gold around my neck felt heavier each day. The familiar chants began to taste like ash on my tongue. My medical practice only deepened these troubling thoughts. When I treated patients with the same herbs and oils, their bodies responded identically regardless of caste. Pain was pain, healing was healing. The herbs didn't discriminate. Yet outside my clinic, the social hierarchy remained absolute. The loneliness was crushing. At temple gatherings, the other women my age whispered about their children's marriages and grandchildren while I sat with my questions and my widowhood. The younger mothers treated me with polite distance. Successful but pitied, accomplished but somehow incomplete without a husband. Sita needs to remarry. I overheard Mrs. Lakshmi tell her daughter, "It's not natural for a woman to live alone with only work for company. The gods didn't design us for such independence." Recently, there had been renewed pressure from family elders to consider Dr. Vishnu Sharma, a successful Ayurvedic physician from Chennai. He was widowed, respectable, and interested in combining our practices into a profitable medical empire. Our family saw it as an ideal match, two prestigious medical traditions united, my daughters gaining a father figure, my social standing finally secured. But when I met him last month, his first concern was whether I would give up my hobby of temple dancing to focus on being a proper doctor's wife. His eyes lingered on my jewelry and the temple's rich decorations, calculating profits rather than seeing beauty. Something in my spirit recoiled from his presence, though I couldn't name why. My grandmother had always said our dance was a divine gift, elevating us above common people. We carry the karma of many blessed lives, she would remind me, adjusting my costume before performances. But when I looked into the eyes of those deemed low caste, I saw the same light that shone in my daughters' faces. Yet in the quiet moments between ceremonies, when the temple bells fell silent, an unfamiliar yearning stirred in my heart. The careful steps of my dance felt increasingly like chains. The stories of karma and reincarnation that had once brought comfort now raised disturbing questions. If divine justice determined each soul's station in life, why did I feel such deep wrongness in treating any human being as inferior? I kept these doubts hidden behind perfect performances and impeccable ritual observance. My family's reputation, my daughter's futures, our inheritance and standing in society, everything depended on maintaining our place in the ancient order of things. But beneath the tinkling of ankle bells and the sweet smoke of incense, something was shifting, like the first tremors before an earthquake. That evening, as I performed the Arati ceremony, waving the sacred flame before the gods, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the polished brass. The dancer was flawless, the movements precise, the devotion apparent to all watching. Only I could see the cracks spreading through the perfect facade, threatening everything I had been born and trained to be. The dream came on the worst night of my life, when my carefully ordered world had already begun crumbling around me. Earlier that day, I had denied water to a lower caste woman and her crying child at our temple, following our ancient traditions. The child's thirst-racked sobs had haunted me through the evening prayers, but I had pushed the guilt aside as I always did. Dr. Vishnu had visited that afternoon, pressing me for an answer about marriage. "Your daughters need a father," he had said, his voice carrying the authority of centuries of tradition, "and you need a husband's protection. This independence is unnatural, Sita. The gods intended women to serve, not lead." I had promised to give him my answer after the new moon, but something in his calculating gaze made my skin crawl. When he left, he had casually mentioned seeing me talking to some of the lower caste temple workers. "A doctor's wife must be more careful about her associations," he had warned. "People notice these things." That night, sleep brought no peace. Instead, it brought an encounter that would shatter everything I believed. In the dream, I stood in our temple courtyard, but everything was different. The rigid caste lines that normally divided our sacred space had vanished. A man in shining white appeared, not one of our deities, but someone I had never seen yet, somehow recognized. His eyes held such love and authority that I fell to my knees. "I paid for all your karma," he said, reaching out scarred hands. "There is no high or low in my kingdom. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." When I looked, I saw blood running from holes in his hands, as if he had just been wounded. "But I am Brahmin," I whispered. "I have performed the rituals perfectly, danced for the gods since childhood." His smile was gentle but heartbreaking. "Child, you have been dancing for shadows while your creator waited for you to talk to him. All your rituals cast your karma. None of it can bridge the gap between heaven and earth. Only my blood can do that." I woke up drenched in sweat, horrified at dreaming of the Christian God. In our tradition, such dreams were considered spiritual pollution of the worst kind. Immediately, I began purification rituals, trying to cleanse myself of what felt like contamination. I doubled my meditation times, performed extra pushas, seeking to restore balance. But peace eluded me. The dream had felt more real than waking life. Those scarred hands, that voice full of authority and love, I couldn't shake the memory. Worse, Christians seemed to appear everywhere. A new client at my Ayurvedic clinic wore a tiny cross pendant hidden beneath her sari blouse. A woman at the market spoke of Jesus with quiet joy when she thought no one was listening. Even my daughter Durga came home from university, talking about a Christian classmate who had helped her with calculus. "They are untouchables, Amma," I reminded her sharply. "We cannot associate with them." But even as I spoke, the dream man's words echoed. "No high or low in my kingdom." The questions multiplied. If Jesus was just a foreign god, why did his presence in my dream feel more real than all the deities I'd worshipped my entire life? Why did his words about no high or low resonate so deeply with the doubts I'd carried for years? I began secretly reading a Bible app on my phone, hiding it behind photos of Hindu scriptures. I told myself I was only researching to better argue against Christianity, to protect my daughters from foreign influence. But the words about all people being made in God's image haunted me. They matched that deep sense of human dignity I'd always felt but suppressed. The Sermon on the Mount devastated me. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Everything was backwards from what I'd been taught. In our system, the spiritually poor were cursed by bad karma. Those who mourned deserved their suffering. The meek were trampled by those with better dharma. But Jesus was saying God's kingdom operated on completely different principles. My younger daughter Saraswati noticed my distraction during our evening prayers. "Mother, you seem troubled lately," she said as we lit the temple lamps. "The gods will restore your peace if you focus more on the rituals." But the rituals felt increasingly empty. The more I tried to dismiss Jesus, the more he pursued me. That dream had cracked my certainty, letting in questions I couldn't silence. If the caste system was divine truth, why did it violate everything in my heart about human worth? Dr. Vishnu visited again, growing impatient for my decision. "The families are talking, Sita. Your delay is causing gossip. Some say you're becoming too independent, too influenced by Western ideas from your daughter's education." His warning carried menace. In our community, reputation was everything. A whisper of impropriety could destroy my practice, my daughter's marriage prospects, our entire future. One night, alone in my bedroom, I found myself whispering words I never thought would cross my lips. "Jesus, if you're real, show me." Immediately, shame flooded me. I was a Brahmin woman, a temple dancer, keeper of ancient traditions. How dare I even consider following a foreign god? Yet I couldn't forget those scarred hands reaching out, those eyes full of love. "I paid for all your karma," he had said. Could it be true? Could all the merit I'd tried to earn through dance and ritual and caste observance be unnecessary? The thought was both terrifying and liberating. Everything I'd built my life on, my position, my family's honor, my daughter's futures hung in the balance. But what if it was true? What if there really was no high or low in God's kingdom? What if the woman cleaning our temple steps was as precious to the Creator as the priest performing the ceremonies? I didn't know then how much this dream would cost me. I didn't know I would lose my inheritance, my profession, my standing in society, and nearly my daughters. I only knew that truth was breaking through, and nothing would ever be the same. That night marked the beginning of my war with truth, a war I was destined to lose, because once you've encountered real love, ritual and tradition can never satisfy again. The sacred thread around my wrist felt like it was burning my skin as I knelt alone in my bedroom 3 months later, finally ready to whisper the words that would change everything. "Jesus, I surrender. You are Lord." I had fought the truth as long as I could. After that first dream, I had thrown myself deeper into Hindu devotion, hoping to drown out the questions. I accepted Dr. Vishnu's marriage proposal, thinking a husband's authority might silence the doubts plaguing me. But even as I planned our engagement ceremony, Jesus continued pursuing me through dreams, through chance encounters, through an inexplicable peace that came whenever I secretly read about him. The breaking point came during our engagement party. As I danced for the assembled families, performing the traditional pieces that celebrated our union, my movements felt mechanical, hollow. Dr. Vishnu watched with proprietorial satisfaction, already calculating how our combined medical practices would dominate Kandatna's Ayurvedic market. Midway through the dance, I glimpsed the woman who cleaned our temple steps. She was serving refreshments to the guests, invisible to everyone except me. Our eyes met for just a moment, and I saw such dignity in her gaze that I stumbled in my performance. The music continued, but I stood frozen, remembering Jesus' words, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." That night, I told Dr. Vishnu I needed more time to prepare for marriage. His patience snapped. You are too old to be playing these games, Sita. Your daughters need a father's guidance before they become completely corrupted by modern ideas. I won't wait much longer. His threat was clear. In our community, a broken engagement would ruin my reputation permanently. But I couldn't marry him. Not when every fiber of my being screamed that following Jesus was the only truth that mattered. I found the underground church through my daughter's university friend. Ironically, the same Christian classmate I had forbidden Durga to associate with. The church met in a conference room at the Bangalore Tech Park, disguised as a cultural society. My first Sunday there, tears streamed down my face as I heard Christian bhajans sung in my own language, expressing devotion I'd never experienced in all my years of temple dancing. These people had lost everything for Jesus too. Former Brahmins, respected professionals, devoted parents, all counted as dead by their communities for recognizing Christ as Lord. Yet their joy was unlike anything I'd seen in the temples. Pastor Samuel, a former Hindu priest, welcomed me with understanding eyes. Sister, I see the battle in your heart. I fought it too. But Jesus is patient with our struggles. For weeks, I attended secretly while maintaining my engagement charade. Dr. Vishnu grew suspicious of my frequent absences, but I claimed them as meditation retreats for spiritual preparation for marriage. My baptism happened at midnight in a hidden location outside the city. As I stood waist-deep in that secret river, I felt the weight of 3,000 years of tradition pressing down on me. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is Lord, the only way to the Father? Pastor Samuel asked. I do, I whispered, and meant it with every fiber of my being. As the water covered me, I died to my old life as Sita, the honored temple dancer and reluctant bride-to-be. I emerged as Kavita, meaning poem, God's poem of grace written in my transformed heart. But secrets have a way of spreading in our tightly knit community. The betrayal came from the person I least expected, my own daughter. Durga had followed me that Sunday morning, suspicious of my recent secretiveness. She watched from outside the tech park as I embraced my new Christian family, as I lifted my hands in worship to Jesus, as I laughed with the freedom I'd never known. But instead of asking me directly, she went straight to Dr. Vishnu with her discovery. The confrontation happened in our family temple, where I had danced since childhood. Dr. Vishnu arrived with my father and several temple elders, their faces hard with righteous anger. Show us your phone, Dr. Vishnu demanded. When they found the Bible app hidden behind my traditional prayer screenshots, the eruption was immediate. You have brought unimaginable shame on our families, my father thundered, his voice shaking with rage and grief. Your mother's spirit weeps in heaven. Your grandmother's devotion means nothing now. Dr. Vishnu's voice was ice cold. The engagement is finished. I cannot marry a woman who has polluted herself with foreign gods. Your daughters will never find suitable husbands now. The ultimatum was swift and final. Publicly renounce Jesus and perform purification rituals, or lose everything. My inheritance, my medical license, my dance school registration, my place in the family, my daughter's futures. I looked at Durga, standing behind the men who were destroying my life. Her face showed no regret, only determination to save our family's honor. You chose them over us, Ama, she said quietly. I had to protect our name. The betrayal cut deeper than any other punishment they could devise. My own daughter had become my Judas, but as I stood in that sacred space where I had worshipped false gods for decades, peace flooded my heart. I removed my sacred thread, my bindi, my temple jewelry, all the markers of my old identity. I cannot deny the truth, I said quietly. Jesus Christ is Lord. He paid for all my karma, and I am his daughter now. My father's face went grey as he tore up my inheritance papers worth millions of rupees. Dr. Vishnu spat at my feet. The temple elders began immediate purification rituals to cleanse the space of my presence. But I walked out of that temple with my head high, finally free to worship the God who loved me enough to die for me. The persecution that followed was swift and merciless. Within days, my Ayurvedic medical license was revoked through pressure from the professional association. My dance school lost every student as parents pulled their children to avoid contamination. My bank accounts were frozen due to anonymous complaints about fraudulent religious activities. The night my daughters were taken was the darkest of my life. I returned home from cleaning offices. My new reality to find the house empty except for a legal notice. My relatives had convinced a sympathetic judge that I was an unfit mother, corrupted by foreign influence. Durga and Saraswati were now in their custody for their own protection. I fell to my knees in our empty house, surrounded by scattered belongings and memories. Jesus, I whispered, was I wrong? The cost is too high. But in that darkness, his presence filled the room with inexplicable peace. I remembered his words from my dream. I paid the price for it all. Somehow I knew he would make a way, even through this. The legal battle took months. Through countless court appearances and sleepless nights, I learned that Jesus doesn't promise an easy path, but he promises to walk it with us. My new church family supported me with prayers and practical help, becoming the family I'd lost. Help came from unexpected sources. My Muslim neighbor, Fatima, secretly brought food and testified as a character witness, risking her own reputation to show kindness. A sympathetic Christian lawyer fought my case pro bono. Even some of my former patients quietly supported me, having witnessed my integrity over the years. Slowly, painfully, I won limited visitation rights with my daughters. Durga remained cold and angry, convinced I had destroyed our family's honor. But Saraswati began asking careful questions about my faith. "Tell me about your Jesus, Amma," she whispered during one supervised visit. "What makes him worth losing everything?" As I shared my story, I realized that my greatest persecution had become my greatest testimony. The betrayal by my own daughter had forced me to choose Christ over everything else, and in that choice, I had found the pearl of great price. Today, I still clean offices in the same tech park where I once ran a prestigious medical practice. My inheritance remains forfeit, my social position destroyed, but I have something more valuable than wealth or status. I have peace with God through Jesus Christ. Recently, Durga secretly visited me before her college classes. She watched me work with quiet dignity, serving the very people I once considered beneath my caste. "Amma," she whispered, "I've never seen you so at peace. I don't understand it, but I see it." Her words were worth more than all the wealth my family had withdrawn. And I know that the same Jesus who pursued me through dreams and doubts is pursuing my daughters too. The betrayal that broke my heart may yet become the path that leads them home. The dance of my life has changed completely. I no longer perform for false gods in gilded temples, but I worship the true God with my whole heart in humble places. My hands may be rough from cleaning work, but they're strong enough to hold my Bible each morning. My feet may ache from standing, but they dance with genuine joy. When people ask if I regret the choice that cost me everything, I remember those scarred hands reaching out to me in my dream. Jesus paid the ultimate price for my freedom. Now I've learned what it means to pay the price for following him. And every day, as I serve others in love, I know with absolute certainty he is worth it all.